Hey there, this is Matt Gorman with dothemiles.tv. I am in the pro shop of Guy's Bicycles in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. It was just about 8 years ago I was in this very room to get sized and fitted for my very first custom-built bicycle. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is proper size. And I'm here today with Bob Burke, the owner of Guy's Bicycles. Bob, how are you?
Very good, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Bob, let's get into this. A customer walks in and says, Bob, I want a bike that fits me. Where do you take that conversation?
Immediately it goes to the proper frame size, because fit can only happen on the proper frame size.
So they are two separate things.
They're two separate things.
Oh, interesting.
You can have a bike that doesn't fit you properly, and you can alter it and work it as much as you can. If you're buying a new bike, that foundation's got to be set proper. It's the right way to do it.
So what's step one? We have to focus on size before fit.
Correct.
So how do we go?
The size of the bicycle is determined by manufacturers. What they call a size is metrically done, centimeters, 54 centimeter, 56, 58, and so on. That's determined based off of your inseam. Your torso plays into the length of that bike, or the top tube of the bike, this portion of the frame here.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
what we would do is, when someone comes in, the first thing we want to do is have their inseam and have their torso. It's going to help us set the table for where we're starting. We're going to test ride some bikes. We want to test ride the right size bikes, not something that we're trying to imagine. So to get that proper sizing, we use a device that is quite easy for us to use here. We have a stick that we push down that has 10 pounds of force onto it. I put my feet at my shoulders width. I let it land. When it lands, compresses up. I'll get that bubble in the center.
You have a little level here. This is a pretty high-tech bike shop tool here.
It's a little easier than the basics. I'll give you some other easy ways around it. Having another person help you would be nice, but you could literally do it yourself if you wanted to. Take a measurement of your true inseam. Find out what the number is. For example, in this case, my inseam would be out close to 88 centimeters if I took an actual physical measurement like I'm doing here.
You in your socks too.
In my stocking feet, yep. The next measurement is your torso length. So that sternal notch up in your throat, which you know is right there, we would hook the tape measure to there, drop him straight down, and I would come up with my measurement of 67 centimeters for my torso. Having that 88 centimeter measurement for my inseam, I'd multiply that by 0.657, and it would come up with a number of 56.5 centimeters. And again, I'll take the details in there in a second. The next one would be the 67 centimeter torso measurement, which I'd multiply by 0.856, and that would give me a 57.5 centimeter top tube length. So this all comes into play with this stick, but if you don't have it, you could use a framing square, or you could even use a record album. And what we would tell you to do is to go against the door with your backside against the door and your heels against the door. Or a wall, and pull the record album up and get the leading edge of the record album where it would be, top and bottom. So you don't need that great stick. It is helpful for us. The number that you have gets entered into a calculator times 0.657 for your inseam, times 0.865 for your torso. These numbers give the bike seller a better tool to start with. We're on the right frame size for Mr. Customer, that they're at least test riding the right size bike. Once that's determined, we can then take it a step farther, which should be covered into a different mini video of this.
We'll get to get into fit.
And that would help determine the saddle height being proper, the reach being proper, but at least you have the right size bike that you started with, which is critical. We see people make the mistake a lot.
All right, Bob, so we've gotten the measurements, we've done the math, and at least now we're ready to take a bike off the shelf that we think would be the right bike. So how do we take this bike and determine that it's a great place to start?
So let's say my numbers said, Bob, we should put you on a 58 centimeter bike. Let's just see how that works for you.
Okay.
What I would do is I would stand over that 58 centimeter bike. At this point, I'll have shoes on, cycling shoes if I'm going to test ride it, sneakers, whatever it might be. And I'll be able to stand over this bike and pull the bike up front and back, literally till my skeleton hits, right to bone, and make sure I have that room that you're seeing here now.
Gotcha.
If I have more room than that, I question why did I pick a 58, not a 60?
If I see about 2 inches, that's about right?
That's about right. You have a good solid 1.5 to 2 inches here.
Okay.
If I was standing over this bike and it was touching me right now, I would question why did I go to a 58? Maybe I should be on a 56.
Gotcha.
So you want to have this area covered first. Do I truly have the room to stand over this bike?
Gotcha, okay.
After that happens, we can then at least set someone up on a test ride and get them riding. What we're ultimately looking for in the reach of this stem can be covered in a different video at some point, but it's going to help determine the top tube overall picture of this bike. But to at least be sure that you're not some extreme difference from inseam to torso, we want to make sure that this 58 centimeter bike has, based on my torso measurement, at least somewhere close to that 57.5 top tube, which we spoke of with my torso measurement.
Yes.
This particular bike does. It comes into that 57.25 top tube.
Okay.
So we know this is going to work for me. The worst case scenario would be if someone had a real long inseam and a real short torso.
Like I do.
Like you do.
Yep.
Like in lots of cases women do. Yep. So the case there would be they couldn't be on a typical man's bike that the geometry is meant for a man because they use more of an equal seat tube to top tube length, where a lot of women-specific bikes have a shorter top tube length to accommodate that. And that'll be a big benefit for women. They don't want to be put on a man's bike and have to use a little tiny stem to compensate.
Gotcha.
They can have a shorter bike.
Okay.
Someone might need a longer top tube.
Yeah.
Custom bike builds for people with longer torsos. So
Okay.
there's things out there for that.
Bob, I think this is great. Gives someone the information to walk in, someone educated, into a bike shop.
Absolutely, that's what we're hoping for.
And this has been Matt Gorman with Do the Miles TV, talking about bicycle sizing. I want to thank Bob Burke, Guys Bicycles, and we'll see you next time.